Okay, let's get started. Thank you for coming. And if you're tuning into the recording, hello, thanks for watching. We are going to be, I'm Kyra Durant, the coordinator of instructional technology. With me is John Keating. There you are.
Director of technology.
He sure is. He's going to have an eye on the Q&A. And so if you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the Q&A so that we can get to them. So there are a couple things that we're going to touch on. Most of this was sent out in email communication, but there's some important pieces that we just wanted to highlight from that. And then have some time if there are any additional questions that maybe we didn't get to. So in this webinar, we are going to go over the grading window timeline, talk about summer prep workflow, and talk a little bit about cross-listing best practices, and then there'll be time at the end to ask questions. So the first thing is the grading window timeline. And what we've got is May 25th, so that's done. What's that, today maybe? I don't know what day it is anymore. It's too hard to keep track. Yes, today. So today, Aries is open for comments. So you may be thinking to yourself, why would I do comments now? But if you have students where you already know what kinds of comments are going to be put in, then you can go ahead and do that starting today. June 2nd is when the final marking period ends, and Aries is going to close just briefly for a data upload. June 3rd at 7 a.m. is the last teacher workday, and Aries will be open there for finalizing grades. So that's an opportunity to go into Aries and just make sure that your grades match what you had in Canvas. And then June 5th at 11:59 p.m., Aries is going to close for entering grades and for entering comments, so that the data team can do their work on that end of that side of the house. There is an email that should be in your inbox, and here's what it looks like. If you didn't see it, go into your email and search for it. The subject is up there at the top, marking period 6. It was sent on May 12th. So you can go in and find that email, and there's a lot of information, including the timeline, and more details under each of the items on the timeline is in that email. And then there's also information in there about resources and how to go into Aries and all that stuff if you need a refresher. This is like always one of those things where, you know, like no matter how long you've been teaching, it's something you do every year often, but then it changes and you do it once and forget how to do it. You have to do it again. So that is the grading window. The next topic, I'm gonna check okay.
We have
some questions. Yeah, go ahead.
Questions. I think one question for this section, and then one question that could be covered in the first section. And I'll ask it if you're ready.
I'm ready.
Can we enter grades in Canvas between June 2nd at 2 p.m. and June 3rd at 7 a.m.?
What a wonderful question. And let me just check on the answer to that question, if I can find it, so that I give correct information.
And if you want to pull up that slide,
yeah,
highlights it, I can kind of speak to it a little bit of what
great
is happening.
Thank you, John.
So on June 2nd at 2 p.m., the data team will actually start exporting all of the thousands and thousands of grades and importing them into Aries. So basically taking the grade book that you have in Canvas, downloading it and uploading it into Aries. During that process, we cannot guarantee that if you make a change in Canvas, it will be represented on your final grade that was imported into Aries. Couple caveats to that. Let's say you are making updates to, adding new assignments or something. Let's say at 3 p.m. a new assignment came in and you need to make an update to it. Well, since we don't know, we would assume that the data had already been exported from Canvas at that point. We would really need to start focusing on calculating that final grade inside of Aries. You can still use the Canvas gradebook to make those calculations and to continue updating your gradebook from there, but the changes do need to be put into Aries to represent on their final grades. And so, yeah,
So then,
in summary,
the follow-up, go ahead, John.
In summary, that changes can be made to the gradebook in Canvas after June 2nd at 2 p.m. However, there's a good chance that those will not make it to their final grades unless the teacher takes action and makes sure that the grade gets manually moved over and updated.
In Aries.
In Aries, correct.
Got it. Okay. So then that gets to, just for clarity, that gets exactly to that follow-up question, which was, so changes can be made in Canvas, but it would be my responsibility to change the grade in Aries between June 3rd and June 5th. So you'd want to double check in Aries that that grade is correct. And if it's not, to go in to Aries and manually correct it. Is that right, John?
Correct. You would expect it to be incorrect because the data was already exported.
Great. Thank you, John. Okay. Summer prep workflow, which is going to get into another question that's in the Q&A. I'll read that now. Hi, I would like to know if I can work on adding and organizing my modules over the summer, so when we get back next school year, all the materials are in order and ready for the students. The answer is yes. And here is the recommended workflow for that. So one thing that I just want to say here that I have been learning about Canvas is that there's a lot of information on the internet about Canvas and how to do it. And there's lots of YouTube videos and it's all very helpful. But every district's instance of Canvas is a little bit different. So you may watch a video on YouTube that shows you how to do something and then go into our instance of Canvas and it might look a little different. There might be some different settings. And some of them get so detailed and minute that it is sometimes hard to understand or like figure out why something is working in a particular way. So I just want to put that caveat out there that sometimes there are things that you will see other sites, other schools, sorry, other districts do that might not function the same in our particular instance of Canvas. So here's the summer prep workflow. The first step would be to create a sandbox course. So in our instance of Canvas, teachers can manually create courses. So that's something that teachers have the ability to do in our instance of Canvas. So you can go into your Canvas LMS and create a sandbox course. And that would be a manually created course because you'd create it using the create a new course button, which I'm in student mode, so that's not going to work here, but I can show you what that would look like in my dashboard. There's this button here that says start a new course. So that's how you would start a manually created course or a sandbox course. Now it's really important to very clearly title this course sandbox course. I recommend having a naming convention that's your last name, the word sandbox course, and then the title of the course. That course, I also recommend never publishing that particular course so it doesn't get confused with any of your rostered courses. The second step is you can import or create content in your sandbox course. So you can import content from Canvas Commons. You can import content from a previous course, one of your previous courses, or you can create or you can create new content in your Sandbox course. In August of 2022, the exact date of when your rostered courses will appear in your dashboard, and by rostered courses, I'm talking about the courses that show up in your dashboard automatically that include student enrollments. Those courses, the exact date of that will depend a bit on your site admin, but in August of 2022, you will then import the content that you built in your Sandbox course into your Aries rostered course shells. After that, if you're going to do cross-listing, at that point, you can do some cross-listing, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. This document right here, the end of year best practices, outlines in detail this question here. Can I work on designing my courses and creating course content over the summer? If you click on that and jump down, there are detailed steps here that I just sort of highlighted in this step. But there's detailed steps here with links to how to do these particular things, all written in this document. So this is definitely the place that I would suggest anybody go when you're looking to figure out like what are some of the best practices. This document can be found in Canvas by clicking on the help icon, and it's right here at the top with this new next to it, CUHSD and Canvas end of year best practices and FAQ. So that's where you can find this FAQ document.
Kyra, quick question.
Yes.
Can you import from an unpublished course to a published course, or do you have to publish your Sandbox course temporarily to import the material?
My understanding is that you do not have to publish a course in order to import content, but I would need to go back and actually try that before I said that with 100% certainty.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same. I don't see any reason that it would prevent you. And I've done it a few times, so you shouldn't have any issues there.
Yeah. Okay, great questions. The last thing that I want to talk about is cross-listing courses. And this is related to that summer prep workflow as well. So before we get into cross-listing, there are two really important terms to understand and make sure that we're all on the same page around what these terms mean. So the first term is a manually created course. A manually created courses are created by the teacher using the create a new course button. So this button, start a new course. Oh, I should update that word. It's start a new course, not create a new course. Manually created courses do not have an SIS ID, a SIS ID. So SIS stands for Student Information System. In CUHSD, our student information system is Aries. Aries is the hub of all of our student data. All of the data that you see in Canvas is pulled from Aries. It's not put into Canvas by itself. It's pulled from Aries. So manually created courses are created by the teacher. They don't have a SIS ID. They cannot automatically import grades to Aries. They don't behave in a predictable way. So when John and I are trying to troubleshoot something that's happening in a course, if it's a manually created course, we often can't troubleshoot in a predictable way because there are settings that might be different in a manually created course from the settings in a SIS rostered course. Manually created courses are for Sandbox courses and then non-academic courses. So for example, if you've got a course for a club or something like that. Your Aries rostered courses or SIS rostered courses, that means the same thing, are created and updated in a nightly sync with Aries. So that's where you'll see, like, if a student enrollment changes, that is going to be updated automatically in Canvas based on the student schedule change in Aries. They do have a CUHSD ID. They appear automatically on your Canvas dashboard at the beginning of the year or at the semester whenever a course starts. It automatically includes student enrollments, and they can be used to import grades to Aries. So a CUHSD rostered course can talk back and forth with Aries. CUHSD rostered courses also tend to behave in a more predictable way when, again, John or one of the techs or I are troubleshooting issues with your course. And these are for teaching your academic courses.
And then I just want to highlight
go ahead.
One big thing that we always see with the manually created courses, if they're used for teaching an academic course, they're never set up how our grading periods work. They lack terms and grading periods. And what that does is it will make the your end grades very unpredictable because it doesn't know the semester break. It doesn't know how to calculate our grades. And so that is one of the areas that we always end up seeing issues with manually created courses that I just wanted to highlight real quick.
Thank you, John. Here's an example of a manually created course. And I know it kind of feels like, it might feel like, oh my gosh, why are you talking about this so much? But you'd be surprised how much we see, this happen. And it really does, it can be really hard for everybody when it does and we don't exactly know what's happening. So manually created courses don't have a student information system ID number. So in this course, if you go to the settings, which is down here, that on the course details is where you'll see this information. So this is a manually created course. There is no ID. There is also the sub account is manually created courses. The sub account should be your school site. That's what we want. What with a manually created course, your course is not associated with your school site. And then finally, this is what John was getting at, the term. There is no term associated with a manually created course, or it's a default term, which is not our term. And by that, we mean the grading periods that's set up. Here is our CUHSD rostered course example, or our Aries rostered course example. These courses, again, I'm in the settings and the course details, and what you'll see in these is a CUHSD ID, again, that's talking to Aries. You'll see a sub account. So this particular sub account is connected to Lee High School. And then you'll also see a term. And again, that was what John was talking about, that make sure your course talks to Aries. Go ahead, John. Oh, no, you're good. Okay.
I guess I will add then the SIS ID, the last digits in that string are your section numbers. So if you're ever trying to compare between what's in Aries and what's in Canvas, you can reference the SIS ID and you can pull out and see exactly what section that is.
Oh, that's good to know. And here we have Taylor Swift down here in the corner letting us know how much we love a CUHSD rostered course. Okay, so we've got our cross-listing workflow here. And so when you're cross-listing courses, and the way that this connects to our summer workflow is that when you're importing content, there's a suggested order to do that in. So the first thing that you're going to do in August is when you come back and you've got your courses and they're rostered, you've got your CUHSD rostered courses ready to go. You're going to choose a parent course. That'll be one of your rostered courses. Oftentimes teachers choose like the first period. So if I have 3 biology classes, period 1, 2, and 3, I might choose period 1 to be my parent course. It doesn't really matter, but that's often what I see teachers choose. That'll be my parent course. I'm going to import my content from my sandbox course into the parent course, because what's going to happen is that the child courses that I cross-list into the parent course are going to adopt all of the settings and features that are in the parent course. So choose your parent course, import your content, and then you're going to cross-list the child courses into the parent course. And then again, child courses should be your CIS rostered courses. After that process, you will publish your rostered courses. And to avoid confusion, consider not even publishing your sandbox courses so that you don't get confused, that there's nothing in there that's going to suggest to you that that's where you want to be putting your content. The resources are the best resources that we have come up with as far as including all of this information that we've presented to you is in this Canvas end of year best practices FAQ. Linked within that document is also the Canvas CrossListing guide. So from this document, you should be able to also get a lot of other helpful information. So again, to find this document, you're going to go into Canvas, click on the help menu, and it will be at the very, very top. And I just want to point out that in here is you're also going to find when designing your courses over the summer. In here is where you're also going to find the cross-listing guide. It's linked throughout this document. There's also information here about how to copy content using the import tool. There's also, again, multiple places where you will see the Canvas cross-listing guide. The last thing I want to say about cross-listing is that you don't even actually have to cross-list your own courses if you don't want to. I am more than happy to do it for you and help you out with that. In this cross-listing guide, you'll see all of the do's and don'ts. And then at the very end, you can find directions for submitting a help desk ticket. And I will happily cross-list your courses for you so you don't even need to worry about it or worry about doing it incorrectly. Okay. I do not see any other questions in the Q&A. John or Jen, is there anything else that you would like to add before we sign off?
Can you uncross-list courses after they've been cross-listed?
Wow, John, what a great question. So there are lots of warnings about cross-listing. And one of them is that if you have already assigned work to students and graded any work, if you de-cross-list your courses after that, your students will lose their work and their grades because the students move back, but their work does not go with them. So it is not recommended. We do not recommend de-cross-listing courses that have been published. So if you cross-list and you publish your courses and you've got students in there, you do not want to de-cross-list your courses. The only reason you would want to do that is if you cross-listed them, saw what it looked like, didn't like it, you can get help de-cross-listing them and then publish your courses after that. Anything else, John or Jen, that you'd like to add? Great, thank you. So here's where you can reach us. I am the coordinator of instructional technology side of things. John's the IT side of things. Jen works with all of the data. So we as a team work together on kind of how all of the different intricacies of Canvas work. Thank you all for coming. Thank you to those of you who are watching this asynchronously. Please take care of yourselves. And if we don't see you before school gets out, have a really nice and restful summer. Bye.
Hi, thank you.